Good afternoon, everyone. Joshua joining you here from the Ibrox press room ahead of Rangers versus Ross County in the Scottish Premiership today. 3 o'clock kickoff, obviously following on from Rangers' qualification for the Champions League this week. I've just got a team sheet, perfect. This week in Eindhoven, a 1-0 victory that was so significant going into this season and further forward. So I'm sure the atmosphere will be one of celebration following that. But another important league game today. Rangers dropped points last week in the league. It's unthinkable for them that they would do so again today. And it's a strong attacking team from Giovanni Van Bronckhorst, which I'm going to read out to you just now. So we got John McLaughlin in goals as expected. Very much the nailed-on starter at the moment. I thought he was really good midweek in Eindhoven, commanding, used the ball well, made that big save, did everything that really was expected of him. So he obviously retains his place in goals. A back four of James Tavernier, Connor Goldson, James Sands and Borna Barisic. I maybe thought that Ridvan Yilmaz would start today. I think there's probably a look ahead to Rangers game against Queen of the South here at Ibrox on Tuesday night with some of these selections. Obviously you don't want to rotate too much, particularly when you've got an Old Firm game next week. I don't think you want to rest players now and not have them play for a week and a half prior to the game away at Parkhead against Celtic next week. So that probably the thinking there behind not too many changes to the starting 11. Midfield, and this is the interesting bit, you've got John Lundstrom in the middle on his own, which is probably what most people would have wanted, just one holding midfielder instead of two. I imagine that Borna Barisic will sort of tuck in at points, overlap at other points today, depending on where Rangers are on the pitch. But I think necessary to only have one player in that position. We've wrote about that quite extensively on the website. So Lundstrom is in there, and ahead of him looks like it's going to be a pairing of Tillman and Lawrence. Both played really well again in the Netherlands. Both a goal threat, have started the Rangers' career impressively. So you've got lots of goal threat behind Antonio Cholak up top with Ryan Kent and Scott Wright to the left and right respectively. So I think on paper that's a 4-3-3 when Rangers have the ball. I think at points it'll be a 4-3-3. Points it'll be a back three and build up with Borna Barisic tucking in. As I say, I imagine that on the right side it'll be Scott Wright and James Tavernier kind of alternating positions depending on whether Rangers are building up or trying to break down their opponents. Malik Tillman and Tom Lawrence would both, you'd imagine, be given permission to get close to Antonio Cholak. But equally, we've seen both impact the game from deeper in the pitch. Tillman played deeper than Lawrence, was receiving the ball deeper than Lawrence on Wednesday night against PSV. We've also seen Lawrence in a game against USG, for example, play kind of deeper in midfield and create from those areas of the pitch. So lots of options for Rangers in the starting 11. On the bench, Al McGregor, Ridvan Yilmaz, Ryan Jack, Stephen Davis, Ravi Matondo, who I thought would maybe start tonight. This afternoon, perhaps as a look forward to Tuesday, as I mentioned, with his selection. Fashion Sakala, Scott Arfield, Leon King and Adam Devine. The visitors go with Ross Laidlaw, Ben Purrington, David Cancholo, Alex Akaviti, Jan Danda, Callum Johnson, Victor Loturi, Keith Watson, George Harman, Kazim Olibaji, I think. Pardon me for the pronunciation, I should have looked at this before I came on, and Jordi Hugula. So the visitors who have not started the season well by results-wise, I think they had a similar kind of run at the start of last season. They didn't pick up a win for a long time, but ended up taking points off Rangers on two occasions or one occasion. Certainly that 3-3 game at the turn of the year was a very kind of dictating game in the course of the season for Rangers, and they need a result because coming off the back of 3 defeats, I think it's 3 defeats, maybe two defeats in a draw in my head still in the midweek game. They will of course travel here with ambitions of getting a result. It will be very difficult, as it always is when you come to Ibrox. But yeah, Ross County a strong team last year in the Scottish Premiership, and a team that took a lot of goals off Rangers. Obviously scored 2 here at Ibrox in the 4-2 defeat, 2 here at Ibrox. 2 up at Ross County, and then 3 on the other occasion. So that's 7 goals over 4 games. Not a bad return at all. Jordan White's on the bench. He always seems to score against Rangers, whether that be from the start or on the bench. I guess the main talking points from the team sheet, as mentioned, is the attacking midfield, the offensive selection there. Borna Barisic retains his place at left back, and Ryan Kent and Scott Wright on the wings. It's an attacking team you'd expect that would be able to provide the necessary goal threat. Right, let's go through some of these comments. Lots of people getting in touch to say good afternoon, which is always nice. So everyone's having a nice day. It's a very nice sunny day in Glasgow, which is always nice ahead of a 3 o'clock kickoff. Ross, a good friend of the show, says, I'm slightly disappointed to not see Matondo and Ridvan start today. I'd have played them in both of these next 2 games. I think they're desperate for minutes. Yeah, I was kind of flipping on whether I expected them to start. I'd have liked to see them both, Ross, as well. But the thing is, I think Van Bronk, they're not going to start away at Parkhead, I don't think. And that, this game, the selection, the minutes that Van Bronckhorst wants to get in certain players' legs, you'd imagine would be with a view to who he's going to play next week, because they won't play on Tuesday night. And I don't think either of those players will. I'd be very surprised if when we're sitting here on Tuesday night, they're both not in the team ahead of the game against Queen of the South. But yeah, still, Matondo and Ridvan still really to kickstart the Rangers' careers. Although Matondo, I thought in the last game from the left at Ibrox did well, 2 assists against St Johnstone. Obviously hit the bar as well from kind of cutting inside. So maybe see him at some point today. Blue Nose says Kent is overdue a goal. Kent absolutely is overdue a goal. Couldn't agree more with that. He last weekend in Leith took a few shots maybe at the wrong moments and didn't shoot at the right moments. So that's I'm sure something that will have been worked on today ahead of this game. Hamish says, I think he is looking for stability now with the Champions League so close. Bring on subs if they close the game off early. We've seen Van Bronckhorst use 5 substitutes and 4 substitutes over his previous 2 games in the Scottish Premiership. At Ibrox, it was 5. I can't remember if it was 5 against St Johnstone or Kilmarnock, but Scott Arfield, for example, seems to have a very defined role coming on for the last half hour, keeping the energy high. Got a goal and an assist against St Johnstone, and that's an important part when a manager is utilising a bench increasingly with 5 substitutes. But as I've come back to it a couple of times, I think this team is very much selected with next weekend's huge game in mind. Just go through some more of the comments, see some predictions as here as well. Mark says 3-0 today. I'm sure that would be widely welcomed by the vast majority of viewers today, Mark. David says hello. Colin says, what is the team? My Twitter account was suspended and I can't find out that way. Okay, I'll read it to you quickly, Colin. It's McLaughlin, Tav, Colton, Sands and Barisic, Lundstrom in midfield with Tillman and Lawrence ahead of him, Scott Wright on the right wing, Ryan Kent on the left and Antonio Cholak through the middle. So an attacking team for you today. Colin Richard says Tom Lawrence to score a pile driver. I mean, he was very close. I think that's the second time he's hit the bar from outside the box in his Rangers career. He's obviously scored as well with that free kick against PSV in the home leg. Likes to unleash from range. And with that midfield, Lawrence and Tillman, it's a goal threat the Rangers didn't have from that area of the pitch last season. I just don't think whatsoever. For me as well, James Sands, looking forward to seeing how he plays today. I think he's been really good. Has impressed me a lot with his defending, what he does on the ball. A lot of Rangers attacks playing through PSV were started by him kind of punching through the first line at the right moments of PSV pressure. But yeah, that goal threat from midfield is going to be so important in the league this year. And good to see Van Bronckhorst opt for both of his attacking midfield options in today's game. Aldo says, do you know how long Lowry is out for? The manager said some weeks, which is obviously relatively vague, but we'll update more as we know. Aldo, I imagine it will still be maybe there's not an exact date in it. Often clubs are reluctant to do that, to not pressurise the player come back from injury. But some weeks sounds better than some months, or how bad that challenge looked. So I guess that's a positive thing. Hopefully Alex Lowry can get back and playing at Ibrox in the near future. We'll just get through a couple more comments before I head up and get to the gantry. It seems to be prioritising a settled unit, Rob says, which is fair enough. You'd think time for some others would be okay against Ross County home, though. Yeah, but I agree with that, Rob. And when I was thinking about the team this morning, that was kind of my point of view. Equally, I think Rangers need to take every league game at the moment like a cup final. They cannot, they're already 2 points behind. You can't drop more points, especially when you've got an Old Firm next week. And with the ability to utilise the bench, 5 subs. If Rangers do go and perform well today, and get a couple of goals, then they can change half of their outfield if need be, as they have done, as mentioned in the last 2 games. Equally, you can't take any game lightly. Ross County will come here with a game plan. They'll be stubborn, I'm sure, but it's not always the same. Rangers will have to work out how they're trying to stop them and combat that. So I think you just need to take every game really seriously, and especially at this point of the season, it's important to retain momentum. So I'll leave it there with you folks. I'm going to be live after the game as well, after I spoke to the manager. Enjoy the game if you're watching at home or at Ibrox, and we'll speak to you from the gantry at full time.